But there were a lot of them.
This is the same bag that you think, because when your Frank Matthews work, Frank had a South American connection, right?
Well, he did a deal. I mean, they had information that there was a deal in 1971 when Frank was estimated that a third. I mean, these statistics, where do they get them from? But even if it's semi-true, that a third of all the heroin entering into the U.S. passed through Frank Matthews' hands in 1971.
So they had to be connected with this guy. With
400 kilos of heroin floated in old Nazi, there were mines where like you took a big hollow metal ball and put explosives in it and floated off the coast of France. When the Allied invasion came, it would hit ships. They had empty ones of those left over, filled them with heroin, floated it to New York. This is under record, because who has the connections for the heroin there? Who knows about Nazi mines? Who even knows that shit is there? Who knows how to use them? Nazis. Like, who's going to know that there's these empty mines in the ocean and how to get them and how to fill them and how to move them so that when they get off New York coast, scuba divers can go get it and bring it to Brooklyn.
And you were saying, or your guy Levine,
he worked a case, the picture frame case, right, where they were getting high-end people. So they were getting like French television stars. They had a an international chess prodigy that was, when he would travel, he was like, oh, I'm into art. And he would buy expensive art, but he would fill the picture frames. So that was the first people doing cocaine and heroin together.
I was going to say, the first guy, he was one of the first.
People don't know, there was a lot of cocaine coming into the country, even by the late 60s, but it was, New York pretty much was getting it. But, you know, if you even read stuff by the early 70s, New York had a lot of cocaine.
Well, so
it just didn't filter out to the rest of the country.
That me and Lou was speaking about. So
let me get another cough drop. Keep talking.
Go ahead. Cocaine and its attitude in the 70s and all of that. So, well, your opinion on whether this tie-in. So I'm pretty sure that the dope that Eddie was getting from Carmine La Mendoza, a.k.a. Doc Gambino.
Oh, it's coming from the French.
Was coming from the French connection, which would have
and
been
Record was orchestrating it.
That would have been the same bag.
So to go back to Paraguay, Record sitting down in Paraguay and he's protected. So when he was indicted, I think like the son of like the fucking head of the military or something in Paraguay was indicted, and he gets taken into custody. And he's in MCC Manhattan, Metropolitan Correction. You know, the federal holding, you know what those are. Like,
right, yeah,
that's the big boy stuff. Yeah. That's what you face in a big federal case. He's sitting in the Manhattan federal detention. He escaped. Who ever heard escape from a fucking federal detention center? The son of the head of the Paraguayan military disappears and pops back up in Paraguay.
And did like no time.
Well, he did a couple weeks while he was in there, but yeah, he didn't know. He never went to trial.
Wow.
And so Record ends up Andre. So I had to order, to learn a lot of this, I had to do a lot of research, and I tracked down a long article. Wasn't on the internet, but I knew it existed in like a 1972 Reader's Digest. So I had to go on eBay and find, and it was like a man called Andre, and it was about Record. So someone had written about it then. And so I had to get the physical thing and read it. It was pretty, you know, when you're doing kind of, I don't want to say original research because a journalist did the original research, but to have to find the documents as opposed to just, oh, this is what it says on Wikipedia.
Right.
Because a lot of things don't appear. That thing about the Paraguayan general's son, that's nowhere on the internet, but it happened. Because once you read it, then you know you can go to the New York Times of, February 10th, 1974, and look, and you see a little thing, a Paraguayan military
Because
official.
Paraguay at first didn't want to, even when the feds and America wanted them, they didn't even want to let them
No,
get extradited.
they had to capture them in other countries or something. And then they had to put like a lot of pressure on them, like, we'll blockade your fucking country.
If you don't turn it. And he still what? They gave him 20.
He only did 10 years. So
for the biggest heroin dealer in history.
Not just dealer, responsible for, drugs were always around, obviously. But like, as you know, like your father, everybody talks about prior to the mid-60s, even marijuana, like it was for, you were a musician, you were a prostitute, you were a gang, like you had to really seek, like, hey, I want to use drugs, who do I go over there and tell them, so and so. But then by the late 60s, we're talking about how the projects got bad, suddenly drugs are on the street corner. They're in the schools. These are the people that orchestrated that.